Chapter 1. The first time I saw Melody Vance, it was in a hospital corridor. She was standing there, waving goodbye to Ethan Sterling, my husband of 5 years, who was a short distance away. The moment she turned, she bumped right into me. Catching the cheater, and all the way at the hospital, it seems being Mrs. Sterling isn't as easy as it looks. Melody Vance sized me up, her lively eyes filled with scorn. This was her first year with Ethan. Ever since he married me, the women around Ethan have been like the flowers in my conservatory, vying for attention, wilting and blooming anew, a never-ending cycle. Melody must be his favorite. I heard he recently celebrated her birthday with her and bought a luxury condo in her name downtown. I saw it all but never said a word, simply fulfilling my duties as a wife. The only reason I ran into Melody at the hospital today was for a routine checkup. It wasn't intentional. But in Melody's eyes, this chance encounter naturally looked like something else entirely. I couldn't be bothered to explain, but she blocked my path. "Mrs. Sterling, aren't you going to ask why I'm at the hospital?" Melody smiled slyly, and before I could answer, she dangled a lab report in front of my face. "I'm pregnant. It's Mr. Sterling's, Ethan's." "Ah, so she's pregnant. A child is a good thing." After all, in all our years of marriage, I had never been able to give Ethan a child. "Congratulations." I let out a soft breath and congratulated her. "I'm happy for you. I hope you get to take my place soon." I was genuinely congratulating her, but to Melody, it sounded like pure sarcasm. "What do you mean by that? Are you mocking me? Eleonora Ainsworth, do you really think you can remain Mrs. Sterling for much longer?" Anger colored her youthful face, yet it only made her look more vibrant. It was hard to be angry with her. No wonder Ethan always liked these young girls. I smiled, the sunlight illuminating my pale, bloodless face. "Not for much longer," I replied calmly. I wasn't being pessimistic. I was stating a fact. I truly couldn't be Ethan's wife for much longer, because soon I would be dead. Before I die, to be able to see Ethan find someone he likes and become a father. The thought of it actually makes me quite happy. Melody looked at me as if I were a lunatic. "I really don't know why Mr. Sterling insists that I look like you." I had already turned to leave, but her words made me pause. Actually, Ethan wasn't wrong. Melody did look like me, like the me from 10 years ago. 10 years is such a long time. Even if time has been kind, a 27-year-old no longer has the innocent naivety of a 17-year-old in her eyes. Just like Melody and me at that moment. I didn't want to get tangled up with Melody over this. Just as I was about to walk away, Melody grabbed my arm. She moved to stand in front of me, her young face filled with resentment. "Name your price. How much money will it take for you to divorce Mr. Sterling? Just say a number and I'll give it to you. You only married him for his money, didn't you?" I froze. "Is that what he told you?" Melody rolled her eyes, her face a mask of contempt. "Does anyone even need to say it? Everyone who knows Mr. Sterling knows he married a complete gold digger, but don't you worry. Mr. Sterling has never mentioned you in front of me because the very thought of you disgusts him." "Is that so? Thank you for telling me." I lowered my gaze, pulled my hand from her grasp, and turned to leave again, ignoring her stunned and confused stare. "Eleonora Ainsworth, what right do you have to look down on me?" I paid her no mind, wanting only to get away from there quickly. In truth, I wasn't surprised. I had known for a long time that Ethan Sterling, my childhood sweetheart, my husband, hated me to the bone. But hearing his feelings for me confirmed by an outsider was another matter entirely. Late at night. The entire villa was silent. I lay quietly in the large bed, wrapped tightly in the duvet, but even that couldn't ward off the bone-chilling pain radiating from every part of my body. The pain was like being on a branding iron, studded with steel needles. Every inch of my skin, every bone, was subjected to endless torment. "Eleonora, why must you do this to yourself?" A familiar voice echoed in my mind, tinged with a pity it had never shown before. It was the system. 9 months ago, it had informed me that my mission to win over Ethan Sterling had failed, and I had to leave this world. But I begged the system, for the sake of all the years I'd spent here, to let me stay by Ethan's side for 1 more year. The system initially refused, but it couldn't withstand my desperate pleas and finally relented. For this 1 year, my body would endure unimaginable pain every night, and when the year was up, I would leave this world in an exceptionally brutal manner. I agreed without hesitation. I asked for this. I got what I wanted. There's no point in questioning if it's worth it. I answered through gritted teeth. You're impossible. Do you really think this will make Ethan love you again? The system was exasperated with my stubbornness. I was in agony, yet the corners of my lips curled into a smile. I no longer care. I wasn't lying. I truly no longer cared if Ethan would ever love me as he once did. A new wave of pain washed over me. Unable to bear it, I struggled out of bed to find the painkillers I'd bought from the hospital that day. The bottle was in the drawer. I crawled over, pulled it open, and clutched the bottle in my hand. The doctor had told me that, although these painkillers were effective, I could only take 3 pills at a time. I ignored his warning and poured 7 or 8 white pills into my palm. Just as I was about to tilt my head back and swallow them dry, a large hand suddenly appeared and slapped the pills from my palm, scattering them on the floor. "No!" I cried out. Looking up, I saw Ethan's handsome face, but his eyes were glacial. "Who told you to go and bother Melody?" Before I could react, Ethan grabbed my chin, his grip so tight I thought he would crush the bone. "What?" My whole body ached so intensely that I couldn't even make out what he was saying. "I asked you, why did you go looking for trouble with Melody?" Ethan's grip tightened. He bent down, forcing me to meet his gaze, and asked again, word by word. This time I heard him clearly. "I didn't." "Let go of me." "You didn't." Ethan raised an eyebrow, his expression dripping with sarcasm. "Are you suggesting Melody framed you?" "I don't know what happened." I answered with difficulty, my head forced upwards. I had only run into Melody at the hospital by chance today. How had that turned into me deliberately causing trouble for her? Chapter 2, I wanted to explain, but I didn't know where to begin. Besides, no matter what I said, Ethan wouldn't believe me. "Think whatever you want. Just let me take my medicine." I tried to grab the bottle, but Ethan snatched it. Quite the convincing act. A flicker of anger crossed Ethan's face. He yanked me to my feet, and I slammed hard against his chest. Just as I was about to push him away, he clamped his arm around my waist, forcing me against him. Putting on a full performance, are we? Faced with Ethan's humiliation, there was nothing I could do. "What do you want from me?" If Ethan would just look at me, he'd know I wasn't lying. The pain had made my face ghostly pale, and I was drenched in a cold sweat. Still have the energy to talk back. Ethan let me go. I couldn't stand and collapsed heavily onto the king-sized bed. "Wasn't it you who slapped Melody and warned her not to covet the position of Mrs. Sterling?" So that was it. No wonder Ethan, who usually stayed away for days, had shown up tonight. He was here to stand up for his little lover. "I did it." I was past caring, so I just admitted to it. "I love money so much. If she takes my place, how will I spend your fortune?" So I warned her to behave. Otherwise, I wouldn't hesitate to harm not just her, but the child in her belly too. I struggled to my feet, grabbed Ethan's sleeve, stared into his eyes, and said it all in one breath. Visible anger contorted Ethan's face. "You truly are vicious." Ethan grabbed my throat. "You want to kill my child again? Eleonora, for money, you'd even stoop to taking a life," he said. "You want to kill my child again." Again. Once, Ethan and I had a child too, but before it could be born, I had an abortion without a second thought. By the time Ethan found out and rushed to the hospital to stop me, the procedure was over, and I was lying in a hospital bed. That day, Ethan's eyes were red with fury. He punched the hospital wall so hard he nearly made a hole in it. What had I said to him then? Ah, I remember. Lying in that bed, I taunted him, "Ethan, stop with the devoted act. If you hurt your hand now, you probably can't even afford to get it treated." I closed my eyes, letting Ethan's hands tighten around my neck. The air in my lungs thinned, and I couldn't breathe. Maybe Ethan would actually kill me tonight. That would be a good thing. I wanted to open my eyes for one last look at him, but before I could, everything went black and I passed out. I don't know how long I was unconscious. When I woke up, the curtains were still drawn tightly, and a dim, yellow bedside lamp lit the room. Ethan had pulled up a chair and was asleep by the bed. He looked utterly exhausted. The fatigue was etched on his face even in sleep. For years, everyone had called him a workaholic. He barely took a week off in a whole year. I touched my throat, it didn't hurt. I had fainted because the pain from the system was too much to handle. In the dim light, I couldn't help but study Ethan's face. 10 years had passed, but he still had that handsome face, unchanged from when we were 17, save for the added maturity of adulthood. I watched him quietly, momentarily forgetting the 10 years of turmoil between us. I was so absorbed that when Ethan woke up and our eyes met, I didn't have time to look away. For a moment, neither of us spoke. Finally, Ethan broke the awkward silence. "What's wrong with you?" He sat up and tossed the bottle of painkillers from the nightstand in front of me. "Did you really buy these just for show?" I sat up in silence, clutching the bottle in my hand and looked down. "It's nothing. I have a bad stomach, so I bought some painkillers. It's not serious." Ethan snorted. "Serves you right." I didn't know how to respond. After a pause, he continued, "You're home all day with nothing to do, and you still can't even eat regularly. Who else would get stomach problems if not you?" How did he know I wasn't eating regularly? He must have asked the staff while I was unconscious. I lowered my eyes. "I'll be more careful in the future." It wasn't that I was deliberately not eating. I just had no appetite. For the past few months, I'd been eating less and less. Sometimes, all I could manage in a day was a bowl of thin porridge. Another silence fell between us. After a moment, I decided to throw back the covers and get out of bed. But Ethan stopped me. "What are you doing? You probably don't want to see me right now. I'll sleep in the guest room. You should get some rest." I couldn't remember the last time Ethan and I had shared a bed. With that, I got out of bed and headed for the door. But as I passed him, I stopped. "I know Melody is pregnant. I'm happy for you," what I said earlier. Those were just angry words. "Don't worry, I won't do anything to Melody, and certainly not to your child." I turned to leave, but the next second, Ethan pulled me back. I lost my balance and we both tumbled heavily onto the bed. He was on top of me. As my head cleared, I could smell a cloyingly sweet perfume on him. It was the same scent I'd noticed on Melody earlier today. But what did it matter? "Why aren't you jealous?" So close to me, a hint of sorrow flickered across Ethan's face. We weren't like this before." Those few words made my heart ache so much I could barely breathe. "Ethan." I tried to push him off, but even with all my strength, he didn't budge. "Don't you love money? I've made more than you could spend in several lifetimes. Why are things still so terrible between us? Tell me, what else do you want? Whatever it is, I can give it to you." I forced my eyes wide to keep the tears from falling. Looking into his sorrowful eyes, I heard myself say, "Ethan, I want you to forget me. Completely and utterly forget me." It was the last thing I could do for him. "I don't love you anymore, Ethan. If you can't forget me, then hate me. A woman like me isn't worthy of your love." Every word I spoke felt like I was torturing myself. I had always thought the punishment from the system was unbearable. But now I knew that looking into Ethan's anguished eyes was the most excruciating thing in the world. I closed my eyes, shutting everything out. In the darkness, I felt a hot drop of liquid fall onto my cheek. Then, the weight on top of me lifted. Footsteps receded, and the bedroom door slammed shut. The sweet perfume scent quickly faded. I lay on the bed, motionless. After a long while, I raised my hand, touched the liquid on my face, and brought my fingertip to my lips. It was salty and bitter. This must be what sorrow tastes like, I thought. I grabbed the duvet, wrapped myself in it haphazardly, and forced myself not to think, drifting into a heavy, troubled sleep. In my dreams, I returned to when Ethan and I were 17. We were in high school then. Every morning, he would be waiting for me at the end of the lane with his bicycle. The bike was old and worn, but the back seat had a soft pink cushion. That was my special seat. When I saw him, I'd hop onto the back, and as he turned his head, I'd pop a piece of candy into his mouth. The early morning breeze carried the fresh scent of grass and trees. I would hold onto Ethan's school uniform, letting the wind blow through my hair. I would ask him which university he wanted to go to, what he wanted to do in the future, if he had finished yesterday's math homework, or if he'd found the answer to the geography teacher's question. Back then, I thought that's how life would be. No matter what happened, Ethan and I would always be together. He was the one who would carry me into the future. Until I met that person. Chapter 3, I don't know how long passed before I startled awake. I grabbed my phone to check the time, 7:30 a.m., not too late. Without bothering to put on shoes, I rushed out the door. Seeing the familiar tall figure at the entrance, I felt a small wave of relief. "Wait," I hurried down the spiral staircase to stop Ethan as he was about to leave. "I have something to say to you." Ethan didn't even look at me. "I have nothing to say to you." "Move. Just one thing." I spread my arms, blocking his path. Finally, his gaze condescended to fall upon me. I gathered my courage, looked him in the eye, and said the words I had been wanting to say for so long. "Ethan, let's get a divorce." Ethan's brow furrowed deeply, then he let out a cold laugh. "On what grounds?" "There's no love left between us," I said calmly. "The only thing I can give you now is freedom. After the divorce, you can find someone you truly like, whether it's Melody or someone else. Marry her, live a real life. Wouldn't that be better?" Ethan advanced on me, his eyes dark and menacing. I had to back away until my back hit the wall, with nowhere left to retreat. Only then did I force myself to meet his gaze. "Don't even think about it." Ethan raised his hand and cupped my chin, his thumb brushing harshly against my lips. "What do you think you are? You're just an ornament I brought home, worth less than a vase." "Freedom. Even if I don't divorce you, do you think I can't enjoy my freedom? Don't overestimate yourself. Who knows if you've already found another man and are just putting on a show for me a divorce? In your dreams. In this life, even in death, you will only ever be my wife." Ethan's words shattered my resolve. I had thought that, before I left, I could at least sever my ties with him completely, but I never imagined he would refuse a divorce so vehemently. After throwing those words at me, Ethan slammed the door and left. How did things between you and Ethan get this bad? In the empty room, the system, which had been silent for a long time, suddenly spoke up. "Do you have any idea how anxious he was when you fainted yesterday? I think if something happened to you, he would willingly chop off his own hand." The system sighed deeply. "You have the nerve to ask me, whose fault is this, really?" I snorted. If it weren't for this so-called mission, Ethan and I would still be fine. Hearing this, the system knew it was in the wrong. "Even though it's not my department, I still have to say I'm sorry. The rules of the mission are what they are. If you can't adapt to them, you're the one who has to suffer. I know that. So can you please stop talking nonsense?" I said, my patience wearing thin. But the system was completely oblivious. It continued, "You should remember you have less than 3 months left before you have to leave. It's not a long time. Have you thought about what you want to do?" That's right, less than 3 months. What could I possibly do for Ethan in such a short time? It felt like nothing I did would be what he needed. You know, if I could make him happy forever, I would willingly give my life. A single tear fell heavily onto the back of my hand, but I knew in my heart that right now, I was the last person who could ever bring him happiness. "Damn this system, I hate you so much." I bowed my head low. The system finally fell silent, no longer saying things I didn't want to hear. I sat there quietly by myself until dusk when a maid knocked on my door. "Ma'am, Mr. Sterling called. He asked you to change and attend the Chin Corporation's gala. It starts at 6. He said to be sure not to be late." I understand. I've never been fond of social events and making public appearances. After marrying Ethan, I rarely accompanied him to these kinds of galas. I didn't like them, and he never forced me. For him to call specifically this time, he was probably doing it just to make me uncomfortable. It didn't matter. As long as I could spend a little more time with him, what did a little humiliation matter? This was all my own doing anyway. Ethan had given me very little time. I quickly changed, put on some makeup, and had the driver take me to the venue. Chapter 4. The gala was held at a hotel owned by the Chin Corporation. It was said to be a charity auction, where guests would auction off their personal belongings, and all proceeds would be donated to children in mountainous regions. Although Ethan hadn't asked me to prepare anything, I took an emerald bracelet from my vanity just in case. As I stepped out of the elevator in my high heels, I saw Ethan's familiar figure. Then, before I could call out his name, another familiar figure appeared by his side. "Mr. Sterling," Melody floated to Ethan's side like a butterfly. I stopped in my tracks, so this was why Ethan had called me here. It all made sense. I was about to turn and leave when I heard Melody's clear voice. "Miss Ainsworth, what a coincidence. What are you doing here?" I turned to face Melody's innocent, harmless smile. I stood there stiffly, my eyes fixed on Ethan, who was standing beside her. I was, after all, his legal wife. If he was seen with Melody in public at a social event like this, he would be trampling my dignity underfoot. Under my gaze, Ethan finally extended his hand. "Come here." I hesitated. The next second, Melody gracefully linked her arm with Ethan's, resting her head on his shoulder. "Mr. Sterling, I'm sorry to have kept you waiting." Ethan didn't even glance at me. He simply lowered his head slightly and gently pinched Melody's rosy cheek. "For you, I'd wait forever." He had once whispered those same sweet words to me. I forced a smile, trying to make it look as pleasant as possible. "What are you doing here?" After a moment, Ethan finally deigned to look at me. I was stunned and instinctively glanced at Melody. A flicker of guilt crossed her face. So, the young girl was jealous and wanted me to see her with Ethan, hoping I would back off. As if afraid I would expose her, Melody quickly said, "Miss Ainsworth, Mr. Sterling has me to accompany him. I hear you haven't been well. Perhaps you should go home and rest instead of tiring yourself out." Even if Melody hadn't said anything, I didn't want to stay. "All right, then I'll leave you to stay." Before I could finish, Ethan cut me off. I looked at him, utterly bewildered. What did he mean? Melody also looked confused, but mostly nervous. However, her nervousness vanished with Ethan's next words. He looked at me with a sneer. "Just have her follow us and watch." Watch what? Watch how affectionate he and Melody could be, of course. Realizing this, Melody blushed and gently tapped Ethan's chest with her fist. "Mr. Sterling, you're embarrassing me." Despite her words, the pleasure on her face was impossible to hide. Seeing my silence, Ethan pulled Melody even closer, his eyes fixed on me. "Any objections?" I obediently shook my head. "None." I had upset him so much. I had to find a way for him to vent his anger. Ethan snorted and, without another word, walked away with his arm around Melody. I paused for a moment, then hurried to follow. The charity gala was a grand affair, attended by all of a city's business and social elite. Though young, Ethan was a pillar of the city's business world. The moment he appeared, the bustling crowd fell silent. Melody clung to Ethan's arm, basking in the attention of the crowd, and I was like an ugly duckling, trailing behind the graceful swans. Although I rarely made public appearances, nearly everyone present knew I was Ethan's official wife. Now, my husband was ignoring me in front of everyone, lavishing his attention on another woman. Even without looking, I could feel the malicious gazes directed at me. Some were mocking, some were scornful, some were curious, and some were derisive. I held a glass of champagne and followed behind Ethan and Melody, accepting all their stares. As a top-tier figure in the business world, many people wanted to discuss partnerships with Ethan. Soon, he was drawn away to talk business. I moved to the side and drained my glass of champagne. Just as I was thinking about finding a chance to slip away, Melody approached with 2 glasses of champagne. "I didn't expect you to have such patience. I'm actually starting to like you a little," Melody said with a smile. "What patience?" I asked. "Any other woman would have started a scene by now, but you seem so calm and composed, as if nothing is wrong." "I won't make a scene." I took the glass she offered and placed it on a nearby table. Causing a scene in a place like this would only make Ethan the subject of gossip. I didn't want to give the outside world a chance to hurt Ethan. He had already been through enough. "You're so considerate of Mr. Sterling, but he's never shown you the same courtesy." Melody swirled the champagne in her glass. "He's determined to make you miserable." "I know that too." In fact, no matter what Ethan did, I could usually guess his intentions. In this world, besides himself, the person who knew him best was probably me. "So you just take it? I don't understand what you see in being married to Ethan. Is it really like the rumors say, that you only married him for his money?" Melody suddenly seemed intensely curious about me. I felt a little helpless. "You should hate me. If it weren't for me, you would have been Mrs. Sterling by now." Melody rolled her eyes. "You're no fun. I really don't know why Mr. Sterling is so fond of you." She whispered the last sentence. "What did you say? I didn't hear you." "Nothing." Melody regained her spirits and proudly touched her stomach. "What does it matter if you're here? With this child, Mr. Sterling will kick you out sooner or later." My gaze followed her hand to her abdomen. A new life was growing there, a life that belonged to Ethan. Just then, the music started, signaling the beginning of the evening's main event. Melody left me and hurried to Ethan's side, holding her dress. Everyone began to take their seats. As I stood there, unsure of where to go, a waiter in a white shirt led me to a seat not far from Ethan and Melody. "Please, have a seat here." From this spot, I had a perfect view of both of them. Chapter 5, I didn't know if Ethan had arranged it, but since I was shown to this seat, I had no reason to refuse. After a brief opening ceremony, the much-anticipated auction began. Although the organizers had asked everyone to bring personal items, The guests were all wealthy and influential, and every item was of considerable value. I had never been interested in auctions, so I sat there like a puppet, just trying to get through the night. As the auction progressed, the host introduced an item that caught my attention. It was a beautiful ruby necklace. The deep red gemstone was of exceptional quality, paired with sparkling diamonds. The moment it was presented, it captured everyone's gaze. But what truly captivated me wasn't the necklace's perfection. On my 17th birthday, Ethan had asked me what I wanted for a present. We were high school students then, and Ethan's family was very poor. His daily allowance was pitifully small, not even enough for a decent breakfast. Knowing his financial situation, I told him I didn't want anything. But he kept insisting, and finally, cornered, I grabbed a magazine, pointed to a picture of a ruby necklace, and said, "I want this. Let's make a promise, okay? If we come across this necklace in 10 years, you'll buy it for me. And you'll put it around my neck yourself, okay?" Next to the necklace was a price with many zeros. At the time, I didn't think Ethan would ever be able to afford it. I just wanted to find something to distract him. That way, he wouldn't agonize over what to buy me with his meager allowance. But he took my casual words to heart. Later, I discovered a page was missing from the magazine, the page with the ruby necklace. Ethan had taped the picture of the necklace to his headboard. He told me he had to work very hard so that in 10 years, he could give me the birthday present I truly wanted. And now, the necklace from the magazine had actually appeared before us. I didn't know if this was some kind of destiny. $200,000. A businessman in the front row raised his paddle. 400,000, 500,000, 600,000. The bidding continued to climb. I couldn't help but smile, wondering who would end up with the dream of my youth. 1 million, 1 million going once, 1 million going twice, 1 million. Just as the gavel was about to fall, a familiar voice rang out. 5 million. The entire room erupted in murmurs. The ruby necklace was beautiful and valuable, but it certainly wasn't worth $5 million. All eyes turned to the bidder. "It's Mr. Sterling. Why is Mr. Sterling interested in this necklace?" I looked at it and there's nothing special about it. "Didn't you see who he brought with him? It must be because the young lady likes it, so he's spending a fortune to make her happy." "No wonder, he's buying a smile for a beauty. Yes, I think this young lady is about to become the new Mrs. Sterling, did you see? Over there, that's his original wife. On an occasion like this, he brings his new favorite instead of her. The meaning is crystal clear. Exactly, maybe this necklace is for a proposal." I sat in my seat, listening to the snide remarks from a distance, my hands clenched into fists, my nails digging into my palms. I wasn't jealous, nor was I angry. I was just nervous. I wished so much that Ethan had forgotten his promise to me, just as one forgets an insignificant person or event. But he hadn't. If he really brought that necklace to me, what should I say? At that moment, my mind was a complete blank. "He seems to really like you, Ethan. Why did you give up on the mission?" The system's voice chimed in at the most inopportune time. "It's because he likes me too much that I had to give up." I lowered my head, silently answering the system's question. "Why don't you just tell him the truth? At least then he wouldn't hate you." I wearily covered my face. "You wouldn't understand." "Indeed, I really don't understand the way you humans think." The system replied, sounding exasperated. As a few more items were sold, the auction drew to a close. It was finally over. I dragged my exhausted body, ready to leave. But then I heard Melody's voice again. "Miss Ainsworth, are you leaving so soon?" Hurried footsteps followed behind me. I forced a strained smile and looked up, about to greet Melody, who had just walked up to me, but my gaze fell on her neck. Around her slender neck was the $5 million ruby necklace Ethan had just bought. "Isn't it beautiful?" Melody noticed my gaze and proudly touched the pendant of the necklace. I just casually mentioned that the necklace was nice, and Mr. Sterling bought it for me without a second thought. And he put it on me himself, so that's how it was. I had been flattering myself. "Is it beautiful?" Ethan appeared out of nowhere and wrapped his arm around Melody's waist, but the question was directed at me. "It's very beautiful." I turned to Melody and smiled. "Your neck is long and fair, and the ruby complements your skin tone perfectly." Melody blushed. "Oh, Miss Ainsworth, you're too kind." "Not at all, it's the truth." Melody pressed closer to Ethan, looked up at him, and smiled. "Mr. Sterling, see how generous Miss Ainsworth is." Ethan glanced at me and said cryptically, "It's just a necklace. Of course, she can part with it." Chapter 6, What more do you want from me? I tugged at the corner of my mouth with a sense of helplessness. You asked me to come, and I came. You wanted me to watch you two being affectionate, and I watched. Isn't it time for me to leave now? Miss Ainsworth, what do you mean by that? Before Ethan could speak, Melody's expression soured. You can go home first. Ethan finally spoke. But his words weren't directed at me. Mr. Sterling, you promised to have a candlelight dinner with me tonight. I've been looking forward to it. Melody stomped her foot petulantly. On such a lovely evening, why must you have an irrelevant person here? I said, you go home first. Ethan raised his hand and patted Melody's cheek. It was as if he were dealing with an unruly pet. His tone was still gentle, but it carried a clear warning and a hint of displeasure. Melody finally toned it down, saying meekly, "Then I'll wait for your call." After that, she left reluctantly, not forgetting to shoot me a glare before she went. Do you remember what day it is? After Melody left, Ethan's gaze fell back on me. It's your birthday, I sighed. How could I forget such an important day? I couldn't help but think back to many years ago. The truth is, I wasn't from this world. My presence here was an accident. On my way to work, I was in a bizarre car accident. Just before the explosion, I thought I was going to die. But when I woke up, I found I had become a 16-year-old student. My identity, my family, everything about me had changed. It was as if one person had been reborn with another's identity. At first, I thought I had lost my mind. Until a month later, a voice appeared in my head. It was the system. Host, if you want to return to your original world, you need to make Ethan Sterling fall hopelessly in love with you. If you succeed, you can return to your world. If you fail, you will be stuck here forever. I had lived in my original world for 24 years. My real family and friends were there. How could I not want to go back? So I agreed without hesitation. Soon, the system provided me with all of Ethan's information. Ethan Sterling, my neighbor and classmate. He was cold and reclusive, and in the 10 years we had known each other, we had exchanged no more than 10 sentences. Making someone like him fall in love with me seemed like an impossible task, but I had no choice. To return to my own world, I had to brace myself and try. My goal was simple then, just make Ethan fall in love with me. But I never expected that in this pursuit, I would be the first one to fall. And in love, the one who falls first is often the biggest loser. At the time, I was completely unaware. I wrote him love letters, timed my walks to school to coincide with his, and even when he ignored me, I would offer him a bottle of strawberry milk, telling him it was my favorite. At first, he was impatient with me, but gradually, he seemed to allow me to be by his side. I was thrilled, feeling like I was just one step away from success. As soon as he falls for me, I can go back. I was too excited to sleep, tossing and turning at night, talking to the system in my head. But the system didn't answer. Ethan's attitude towards me truly began to change the day his grandfather had a stroke. Ethan's mother had left shortly after he was born, and his father passed away soon after. He became an orphan at a very young age. His grandparents had raised him ever since. The day his grandfather had a stroke, Ethan was a wreck in the hospital corridor, pale and trembling. I had never seen him look like that. At that moment, I felt an overwhelming pang of sympathy. While we were waiting for his grandfather to come out of the emergency room, I don't know what came over me, but I acted before I thought. I took his hand. "Don't worry, your grandpa will be okay," I told him with utmost sincerity. Ethan stared at me, and a single tear fell onto my hand. The wet spot burned my skin. The next moment, he pulled me into a fierce hug. "Thank you." He buried his head in my neck, and I heard him mumble his thanks. My heart melted completely. While his grandfather was in the hospital, I often brought soup to him. Ethan, who had always been cold and distant, or had treated me like I was invisible, finally started to smile when he saw me. Even his grandmother said, "Our Ethan is usually like a block of ice, but when Eleonora is here, he thaws." Ethan didn't say anything when he heard this, but I was delighted to see his ears turn red. He was really starting to like me. I was overjoyed. As he was walking me home, I teased him. "Ethan, you haven't really fallen for me, have you? What would you do if I left you one day?" Ethan, who had been watching my antics with a faint smile, immediately turned serious. His smile vanished. "Where are you going?" I was startled and quickly waved my hands, feeling guilty. No, I was just kidding, I'm not going anywhere. But a look I couldn't decipher crossed his face. Can you promise me something? Ethan looked at me seriously. Promise you what? That you'll never leave me. My heart skipped a beat, and the lunchbox in my hands almost fell. What's with all this forever talk? We're so young, isn't it a bit early for that? I started to walk away, but he grabbed my arm. I can promise you that I'll never leave you. Ethan took a deep breath. Will you believe me? How could I not believe him? But in that moment, I felt an overwhelming sense of panic. I should be happy, shouldn't I? Back home, I closed the door to my room and summoned the system. Why did I feel so sad when I heard his promise? Is it because I've fallen for him too? But you have to leave after you complete the mission. Even if you love him, it's no use. The system replied, Chapter 7, you're right. Love or not, I just want to go back to my own world. Besides, Ethan is still young. He might say he loves me now, but maybe after I'm gone, he'll meet a better girl and forget all about me, right? I kept talking to the system, but I was really arguing with myself. I didn't know when, but I had fallen for that bright, moon-like boy. The thought of leaving him was excruciating. And if he truly loved me with all his heart, how would he cope when I suddenly vanished from this world? I didn't know what to do. Don't worry, things aren't that bad yet. Ethan does love you now, but it's not quite at the deeply devoted stage. But with persistence, you might just succeed in your mission. Don't you want to see your parents again? My heart tightened. But isn't this emotional manipulation? I'm playing with Ethan's feelings for my own gain. He's innocent, he doesn't know anything. That's just how the mission is designed. You can either accept it or not. I fell silent. I was just a mere mortal, powerless against this mysterious system. But the next time I saw Ethan, I was filled with guilt. I didn't know whether to continue pursuing him or to leave him for good. Fortunately, 2 years later, my parents suddenly announced they were moving us to another city. This meant I would be forced to be apart from Ethan. I agreed without hesitation. Leaving this place meant, on one hand, I wouldn't have to face the daily torment of being with Ethan, and on the other hand, my mission wouldn't be considered a failure. Basically, I chose to run away. I thought I needed time to figure out what to do next, but fate had other plans. Ethan had done very well in his exams that year, but to come to my city to attend the same university as me, he gave up his admission to a prestigious school. I truly thought he was insane. Do you have any idea what this means? Do you know what kind of life you've given up? Do you have any idea what a good university means for a person's future? Do you? The day he showed up, I yelled at him, I hit him. But his face was filled with an unprecedented sense of relief. I think it's fair. I gave up the possibility of another life, but I get to have you, right? His gaze was steady, his voice gentle. It brought tears to my eyes. You have no idea what you're saying. One day, you'll regret this. When I inevitably vanished from this world, Ethan would realize how foolish he had been to love someone he never should have. Then don't give me a chance to regret it, okay? The clueless Ethan reached out and pinched my cheek, smiling. But I couldn't bring myself to look him in the eye anymore. What was I supposed to do? And just then, an unexpected person entered our lives. Ethan's mother, who had been gone for many years. It was during final exams. Ethan and I were studying in the library. By the time we finished, it was nearly dusk. We walked out of the library with our backpacks, and there she was. A beautiful woman with a sorrowful expression stood before us. Ethan had been asking me what I wanted for dinner, but when he saw her, he froze. Do you know her? I tugged at his sleeve, asking cautiously. Then I heard Ethan call her Mom. The woman smiled, walked up to Ethan, and studied him closely. You look more and more like your father. I'm sorry I haven't come to see you all these years. She raised her hand as if to touch his face, but Ethan turned his head slightly, avoiding her touch. Her hand froze in midair, then fell limply to her side. She smiled and looked at me. Young lady, may I have a word with you? Me. I was confused. I had never met Ethan's mother before. What could she possibly want to talk to me about? If you have something to say, you can say it to me. Before I could refuse, Ethan stepped in front of me. He was always like that, always thinking of me. It's just a few words. I won't hurt her. The woman's eyes held a hint of helplessness. It's okay. I tugged at Ethan's sleeve again. You go to the cafeteria and wait for me. I'll be right there. Sensing his worry, I added, Don't worry, it won't take long. Ethan looked at me, then at the woman, and finally chose to leave, giving us space to talk. In the garden not far from the library, the woman and I sat side by side on a bench. "You're very good to Ethan. I can see he likes you a lot too. If you two end up together, I can rest easy." This was something I had been trying to avoid. Hearing her words, I just smiled. But her next sentence made the blood drain from my face. "The system only told you that you could return to your own world after you succeeded. But did it tell you that when you leave this world, the man who loves you will die?" The woman looked at me, her expression full of sorrow. I shot up from the bench, staring at her in shock. How did she know about the system's secrets? She even knew the details of the mission. "Ma'am, the woman waved her hand, pulling me back down to sit. "Don't be so surprised. We're the same kind of people. I also came to this world by accident. The mission the system gave you, it once gave to me. The difference is I completed it successfully." Perhaps recalling the past, the woman's eyes grew moist. I remembered what she had just said. "When I leave this world, the man who loves me will die." A chill ran down my spine. My target back then was Ethan's father, my husband. At the time, all I wanted was to return to our world. So even though he didn't love me at first, I used every means necessary to make him fall for me. That included having a child with him. Chapter 8, and then, "You succeeded, right?" The woman nodded. I succeeded. And so, I finally had the chance to go back. It wasn't long after I returned that I realized how unbearable a world without him was. I kept begging the original system to appear, to let me see my husband just one more time. But it was then that I learned my husband had suddenly died in an accident. As she spoke, tears streamed down her face. It was then that the system told me that when I successfully completed the mission and returned to my world, it would be the moment my husband died. It's a rule of the mission. No one can escape it. The woman wiped her tears and looked at me. "Before, the mission chose me. Now it's your turn." My mind went blank. I couldn't bear to imagine Ethan dying because of me. He had such a bright future ahead of him, yet it would be cut short by me. "Why? You've already returned to that world, haven't you? Why are you here again?" My heart pounded in my chest. "Because I made a deal with the system. I just wanted to come and tell you, so you wouldn't repeat my mistakes, and so my child wouldn't end up like his father." The woman grabbed my hand and smiled. "I've told you the truth about the mission. The rest is up to you to decide. It's getting late, I should be going." The woman stood up. I watched her walk away, then got up and ran after her. "Can you tell me what I should do? I've been in so much pain for so long. I fell in love with Ethan a long time ago. I don't want to leave him, and I certainly don't want him to die because of me, but..." As I spoke, I sank to the ground, sobbing. But the woman just sighed. "This is your life. You have to decide for yourself. If you really don't know what to do, just put your hand on your chest and ask your heart." With that, she left, gradually disappearing from my sight. I don't know what price she paid, what deal she made with the system, to have this one chance to meet us. I only knew that her appearance was a devastating blow to me. When I met Ethan in the cafeteria, my mind was still reeling from her words. "Are you not feeling well? Do you want to go back and rest? Or did she say something to you?" Ethan immediately noticed my distraction and asked with concern. He didn't know that his kindness now was something I couldn't accept. "Let me ask you a question." I forced a smile and looked into his eyes. "What do you imagine your future to be like? Why are you suddenly asking that?" "No reason, just curious. If you don't want to say, that's fine." "Why wouldn't I?" Ethan smiled. "The future I want is simple. After we graduate, I'll work hard. We'll buy a house, I'll marry you, and we'll have a lovely child." That sounds wonderful. I couldn't help but picture it in my mind. A simple but warm life. Our child would be adorable, and we would always be there for each other, no matter what. But that future would never happen. I looked at the boy before me. I had schemed to make him fall in love with me, but somewhere along the way, I had fallen for him myself. How could I let the person I loved die for me? So not long after, I broke up with him. We shouldn't see each other anymore. Downstairs from my dorm, I stood with my arms crossed, looking at a red-eyed Ethan and said coldly, "Why, we've been fine. Why are you suddenly breaking up with me? Did I do something wrong?" My heart ached, but I maintained a calm expression. "You're great. It's just that we're not right for each other." "Not right in what way?" "Tell me, I want too much, and you can give too little." I clenched my fists and gave him a contemptuous smile. Having a child, living in a small house with you, a simple life. Do you know what I want? I want money, tons of it. I want to live in a mansion, be waited on, and never have to worry about money for the rest of my life. Can you give me that? I raised my hand and shoved him, making him stumble back. You're too poor. Even after you graduate and get a job, how much will you make a month? You have to take care of your grandparents too. Forget it, Ethan. I don't mind if you live a hard life, but you can't drag me down with you. If you really like me, then let me go. From now on, we go our separate ways. You're a good guy. You'll find a girl who truly loves you. Don't waste your time on me. I don't want to see you again, and you shouldn't come looking for me. Is it just because of the money? Ethan's voice trembled, his face a mask of disbelief. Yes, it's because of the money. Like every gold digger in the world, I rolled my eyes. To me, money is the most important thing. When we were young, we could ignore it, but now we're grown up. How can I not care? Don't blame me. We just have different values. Oh, and by the way, I've already slept with your roommate, the rich kid who always looked down on you. He took me on a date and bought me a $100,000 bag. And you, how long would it take you to earn that much? A year? 2? 3? However long it is, I can't wait. My nails dug into my palms. It hurt, but not as much as my heart. Do you mean that? Ethan looked into my eyes as if I were a complete stranger. Of course I mean it. I forced a smile. So, if you really care about me, you won't come looking for me again, okay? Ethan opened his mouth as if to say something, but nothing came out. Finally, he turned abruptly and disappeared into the pouring rain. After that, I never saw him again. Chapter 9, although we were at the same university and in the same major, he completely vanished from my life. You know your mission has a 10-year time limit, right? The system couldn't help but remind me. If you can't complete it within 10 years, you really won't be able to go back. It's better to forget each other than to struggle together. I remembered that saying and couldn't help but smile. This is the best ending for Ethan and me. More than completing the mission, I just want to see him live a good life. Is he really that important to you? Yes, I answered without hesitation. After that came graduation and work. I began to live a routine life, but I often thought of Ethan. When I passed by a flower shop, I would remember how he, despite having no money, would still buy me a small bouquet from time to time. When I ate, I would remember how he would always give me the best parts of his meal. When I saw an ad for a new apartment building, I would remember the future he had once described for us. We were supposed to have a small home together, but fate decreed that we could not be together. I thought I would never see Ethan again, that he had forgotten me and moved on with his life. But 3 years ago, he suddenly reappeared. After so many years, he had transformed into the CEO of the Sterling Corporation, dressed in a suit, wealthy beyond measure. At a class reunion he had orchestrated, he proposed to me with a diamond ring. He said, "Marry me, Eleonora Ainsworth." Everyone started cheering and clapping. But only I knew that just 10 minutes earlier, he had cornered me in the bathroom, his hands around my neck, and warned me, word by word, "If you don't say yes, I'll die with you." I wasn't afraid of death, but I was terrified that Ethan would give up his life for me. So, in front of everyone, I extended my hand and let him place the diamond ring on my finger. That night, he took me to his villa. "Isn't this what you wanted?" He held me by the waist as we stood on the second-floor balcony, admiring the city lights. "Whatever else you want, I can give it to you. The one thing I don't lack now is money." In that moment, I wanted nothing but to escape his sight. I said, "Let me go, Ethan." He bit down hard on my shoulder. "Don't you love money? You'd rather take it from others than from me? After all these years, I've made so much money. Why am I still not good enough for you?" I gasped in pain. Tears fell before I could say anything. I knew that he still loved me, but along with love, there was perhaps also hatred. Hatred for me leaving him for money. So, after he had reached the top, the first thing he did was threaten me, forcing me to stay by his side. A never-ending torment, but what was the point? That night, I summoned the long dormant system. "I still have 3 years, right?" "Yes, host. If you can make Ethan stop hating you within 3 years, your mission will be complete." "And if I choose to give up, what will be the punishment?" "What did you say? You're giving up the mission?" "Yes. If you give up the mission, you will die the moment you choose to do so. But don't I still have 3 years? I choose to give up, but let me stay by his side for these 3 years. I ask for nothing else. Even if you have to pay a terrible price, you're willing?" No matter how terrible the price, I am willing. In the end, the system agreed. Although Ethan and I were married, in these 3 years, we never had a single happy day. We were not like a married couple at all. He had many women on the side, each with a face like Melody's, strikingly similar to my younger self. But I wasn't angry. In fact, I was grateful. Maybe one day, he would choose one of these women to truly love. And when that day came, I would sincerely wish him well. The brief memory ended. "Come with me." Ethan stepped out of the elevator and ordered me to follow. I didn't know where he was going, but I hurried to catch up. After all, there weren't many chances left. After driving for over an hour, Ethan finally reached our destination. Getting out of the car, I looked around in a daze. This was the old lane where Ethan and I used to live. Now, the houses were empty, the area was filled with trash, and everything was in a state of decay. It wasn't just the scenery that had changed. We had changed too, hadn't we? "Why did you bring me here?" "It's going to be demolished soon." Ethan stood in front of me, his expression hidden. "Is that so? Don't you feel sad?" Ethan suddenly turned around. "It is sad, but there's nothing we can do, is there? Some things are just beyond our control. Sometimes I really wonder if you have a heart." Ethan sneered. "Just assume I don't." "Then what were all those years between us?" Ethan suddenly pulled me into his arms. "Eleonora, don't treat me like a fool. We were together for so long. Do you think I can't tell if you genuinely liked me or were just playing with me? Tell me, why did you have to leave me? Was there something I did wrong?" "I can change. You said you liked money, so I did everything I could to make money. I thought having money would make you happy, but why are you still so sad? What are you hiding?" "Don't ask." I tried to turn my head away, but he held my face in his hands. "See, that's the look. Every time I question you, you can't meet my eyes. If you looked in a mirror, you would see how nervous you are right now." I was close to despair. "Don't be like this. Melody is pregnant. You're about to have your own family. Don't waste your time on me." It was the only thing I could say. "I don't want that child," Ethan roared, but after shouting, he held me even tighter. "I do want a child, but I only want a child with you. Let's forget about the past, okay? You have a baby for me and we'll raise him together. Wouldn't that be nice? Tell me what you want, just tell me." I finally broke down, my nose stinging, and tears streamed down my face. Chapter 10, I didn't want to cry, but once the tears started, I couldn't stop them. It felt as if years of unshed tears were finally being released. I leaned against Ethan, crying until I nearly passed out. In all the years we had been apart, I had never shed a single tear. It seemed as though my tears could only fall when I was in his arms. "I'm here." Ethan held me tighter. I don't know how long I cried, but eventually I was exhausted and drifted off. Ethan carried me to the car. Night fell. I started to feel anxious. "Can you take me back? You should go to Melody." "Do you have to push me away to someone else?" Ethan slammed his fist on the steering wheel and said fiercely, "I won't do as you wish." "Ethan," as soon as I spoke, a sharp pain shot through my body. It was the nightly punishment from the system. But with Ethan here, I could only grit my teeth and bear it, not daring to make a sound. Even so, he noticed something was wrong. "Where does it hurt? Why are you sweating so much? Is it your stomach again?" I bit my lip hard and managed a nod. "I'm taking you to the hospital." Ethan was about to step on the gas. "It's okay, I just need to rest. Can you just take me home? Why won't you go to the hospital if you're sick?" Ethan ignored me and drove to the nearest major hospital. By now, I was in so much pain that I was on the verge of fainting. I had no strength to argue with him. At the hospital, Ethan immediately had the doctors run a series of tests on me. I lay on the hospital bed and closed my eyes in despair. It's over. My long-hidden secret was about to be revealed. Weakened by the pain and overwhelmed with panic, my vision went black and I passed out. When I woke up, it was the next morning. I was in a hospital bed, feeling so weak I could barely lift my hand. It was the after effect of the pain. Ethan was sitting by my bed. When he saw I was awake, he seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, but his face quickly clouded over with anger. Slap! A few test reports landed on my bed. "See for yourself, I didn't need to look. I knew what they said. I had them run some tests. The doctor said you're perfectly healthy. There's nothing wrong with you. You lied about having stomach problems. Your stomach is fine, isn't it?" I didn't answer. The torment the system inflicted on me couldn't be detected by any ordinary hospital. "What's wrong with you? You were in so much pain last night, it couldn't have been an act." Where does it hurt? Even if you want to leave me, don't gamble with your life. Ethan shot up from his chair and yelled at me in frustration. I'm not, I said weakly. It's an old problem, nothing to worry about. An old problem? Ethan seized on the loophole in my words. Tell me the truth, when did it start? The day we got married. This time, I wasn't lying. It's been almost 3 years. Ethan was speechless. And you've just been enduring it? I take painkillers sometimes. You know I have a low pain tolerance. It's not actually that bad. I tried to reassure him. If it's not physical, then it must be psychological. Ethan sat back down and took my hand. Does being married to me cause you this much pain? I sighed deeply, my resolve softening. I never thought that. Being by your side has made me happy. It's just a shame I can't be with you for much longer. As I spoke, 2 tears rolled down my cheeks. Why did I always cry so easily in front of him? Are you divorcing me? I shook my head. No, I'm dying. I gave a sad smile. I wasn't going to tell you because I thought you would always hate me, but I have no choice now. Just consider it my apology to you. What nonsense are you talking? Ethan's face turned pale. Don't think saying, that will make me set you free. I don't believe a word of it. With that, he stormed out of the room, as if he couldn't bear to be in my presence for another second. But I noticed he stumbled as he left. He didn't want to believe me, but he had to. Since there was nothing physically wrong with me, I was discharged quickly. I took a taxi home by myself. The house was empty except for the maids. I went back to the master bedroom and lay on the bed, quietly feeling my life ebb away. For the next few months, I didn't see Ethan at all. He seemed to have gone abroad on business, or maybe he was with Melody or a new woman. I didn't feel sad. In fact, I was a little happy. If he could be like this after I was gone, that would be for the best. As time went on, my health deteriorated. Before, I had some energy, but now, I was so exhausted during the day that I couldn't even get out of bed. You still have a chance, you know. If you agree to continue the mission, you won't have to be so sick all the time. The system appeared at the right moment, offering me a way out, but I had no intention of taking it. If I wanted to, would I have waited until now? Ethan hasn't been back for so long, maybe he's already forgotten you. The system grumbled. Don't you think it's a waste to give up your chance to return to your own world for a man like that? It's not a waste. I just want him to live a good life. If he's well, I'm well. If he's happy, I'm happy. My answer was the same as it had been 3 years ago. The system was clearly annoyed. Fine, then you can bear the consequences yourself. Just don't regret it. How could I regret it? To be able to do something for the person I loved was the greatest happiness for me. When I started sleeping most of the day, Ethan finally appeared. The maids had called him. They were afraid that their mistress would die in the house with no one to take responsibility. When Ethan returned, I had just woken from a deep sleep. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. You're back. I tried to lift my hand to touch his face, but it fell limply on the bed. I'm sorry, Ethan. I have no strength left. How did it come to this? Ethan looked at me with a mixture of pain and shock. I must look terrible right now. I told you, didn't I? I'm dying. Chapter 11. I thought you were just lying to me. Ethan grabbed my shoulders, his eyes bloodshot. Why have you become like this in just a few months? I'm taking you to the hospital. No matter what illness you have, I'll get you cured. Ethan started to lift me from the bed, but I grabbed his wrist and weakly shook my head. It's no use. What do you mean, no use? I don't believe it. I know my own body. Even the best doctor in the world couldn't save me. And I hate the smell of disinfectant in hospitals. In my final moments, just let me stay at home, okay? I held his hand and gently guided him to sit beside me. I haven't seen you in so long. You look even more tired than before. Because when I'm busy, I think of you, so I keep finding things to do. Ethan raised his hand and gently stroked my cheek. I wanted to see you, but I was also afraid to see you. Me too. I pressed my cheek against his palm, but I'm so happy to see you. Let's go to the hospital, okay? I don't want you to leave me. Just for me, let's try. I shook my head. Ethan, there's a secret I've never told you. Do you want to hear it? Ethan nodded. I'm not from this world. And my name isn't Eleonora Ainsworth. Ethan's expression slowly turned to one of astonishment. I was supposed to die. I was in a terrible car accident, one that was fatal. But for some reason, I ended up in this world. Now, I have to go back to my own world. You should be happy for me. Do you think I'm a 3-year-old, that I'm that easy to fool? Ethan clearly didn't believe me. At a time like this, why would I lie to you? I gave a bitter smile. Then what about me? You're going to leave me here, all alone, but you promised you would always be by my side. Just think of it as fate. If I could, I would want to be a real wife to you, but I can't. I gestured for Ethan to help me sit up. Because I was destined to leave, I was afraid to let you fall in love with me. But I never expected you to fall so deeply. I truly regret it. If I had known I had to leave, I would never have let you fall for me. Otherwise, how sad would you be when I'm gone? I was filled with guilt about this. So that's why you pretended to be a gold digger, to force me to leave you? I nodded. I told him half of the secret I had never revealed, and kept the other half to myself. The full truth was too painful. I never intended to tell him, but even this half was more than he could bear. Tell me, how can I make you stay? If there was a way, I would have tried it long ago. Now, I only have one wish. Will you grant it? Ethan kissed my forehead. Just say the word, and I'll do it without hesitation. I want you to be happy. I raised my hand and gently touched the corner of his mouth. Do you know how long it's been since I've seen you truly smile? And knowing that I'm the reason you don't smile makes me so sad. After I'm gone, you have to completely forget me and be a truly happy person. Start your life over. Let's just say our meeting was a coincidence, okay? I knew my words were impossible for him to accept. He held me tighter, as if by doing so, he could keep me from leaving. From then on, Ethan stayed by my side every day. When the pain came at night, I would bite my lip until it bled. Seeing this, he would offer me his wrist to bite, to vent my pain, just so I wouldn't hurt myself. After sunrise, he would hold me until I woke up, then lift me into a wheelchair and take me down to the garden. The conservatory was filled with flowers I had planted, all in beautiful bloom. We lived like an ordinary married couple. Neither of us mentioned the impending death, even though it was so close. But I felt uneasy. Go and do what you need to do, okay? A few days later, I finally spoke up at dinner. There are so many things waiting for you. You can't spend all your time on me. The company called him countless times a day, but he always hung up, sometimes even turning off his phone. I didn't say anything, but I saw it all. I don't want to go. Ethan placed a piece of deboned fish in my bowl. I just want to be with you. This company was created for you. Without you, what's the point? Don't say that. It only makes me sadder. I gently patted his hand, as if coaxing a child. If you're like this, how can I be at ease? You know, I'd rather see the confident in control you. You should be getting used to life without me, shouldn't you? Ethan finally put down his chopsticks. Sometimes I can't tell if you're being kind or cruel. But he quickly added, if this is what you want me to do, then I'll do it. The next morning, Ethan put on his suit and left as usual, but before he went, he placed a kiss on my forehead. Promise me you'll wait for me to come back, okay? I nodded. I'll wait for you. After Ethan left, I was alone in the house. I had the maids take me to the study. I was about to get some paper and a pen to write something for Ethan when a maid knocked on the door again. There's someone named Melody Vance who insists on seeing you. I paused and put down my things. Take me downstairs. As the maids helped me down the stairs, Melody was sitting on the sofa. I noticed her protruding belly. When she saw me, a look of surprise crossed her face. The rumors say you're sick, that Ethan is going crazy with grief and has abandoned everything just to be with you. I thought it was just a rumor, but it's true. Chapter 12. I'd rather believe it's a rumor too. At least then, Ethan wouldn't be sad, and I could stay with him a little longer. But there's nothing I can do. It's fate. I sat down weakly on the sofa and smiled at Melody. Melody's expression was dazed. Do you know why Ethan let me stay by his side? Someone told me I look like you when you were young. I didn't believe it at first, but one day I stumbled upon a photo of you at 17, and then I understood everything. Melody gave a self-deprecating laugh. So all along, Ethan just saw me as a substitute. I actually thought he had fallen for me, that he would make me his wife. I apologized to you on his behalf. This was between the two of us, yet so many innocent people had been dragged into it. There's nothing to apologize for. It was a mutual agreement, and Ethan spent a lot of money on me. Though she said this, a hint of resentment flickered in her eyes. Then, before I could react, Melody suddenly stood up and knelt before me with a thud. I didn't come here today to confront you or to show off. I came to ask you for one thing. If you can promise me this, I will repay you in my next life, even if I have to be a cow or a horse. I was startled and tried to help her up, but I had no strength in my hands. I could only say, "Just tell me what you want. You're pregnant. Why are you kneeling?" "It's for the child that I'm kneeling." Melody looked up, her face streaked with tears. "Ethan told me I have to get rid of this child. But the baby is almost due. How can I bear to do that? After thinking it over, you're the only one I can turn to. If you speak up, Ethan will definitely listen. Please don't kneel. Get up and we can talk." "If you don't agree, I won't get up." It's true I was with Ethan for his money, but after being with him for so long, how could I not have any real feelings for him? I thought that with this child, Ethan would let me into his life. But I never imagined that in his heart there is only you. I accept that. But this child. The child is innocent. Seeing Melody sobbing uncontrollably, my heart ached. "Don't be sad. I promise you, you will deliver this child safely. I will make Ethan fulfill his duties as a father." "Really?" Melody stopped crying and looked at me in astonishment. "If that's the case, I promise you, I will never appear before you again, as long as you can raise this child well. I promise you, really, I promise. I'm not lying." I gestured for a nearby maid to help Melody up. "Thank you." Melody sobbed softly. "I'm sorry." "There's nothing to be sorry for. In the end, it's Ethan who owes you. This is his child after all. He did it all for you. He loves you so much. How could he let me have his child?" Melody sniffled. "It was all my own foolishness, thinking that just because of this face, he would love me." "You shouldn't talk about yourself like that." I took a few tissues from the box nearby and wiped her tears. "You're still young. You have so many possibilities ahead of you. It's okay to make a wrong turn." Melody nodded. "Thank you. It's getting late. I should be going." But before she left, she still seemed worried. "Will Ethan really raise this child?" I nodded. "He will. Then I can rest assured." A look of relief finally appeared on Melody's face. I smiled back at her and had the maids get some supplements for her. "You're pregnant. You must take care of yourself. Don't be sad. Since you came to me, I will definitely give you a satisfactory answer. You just need to rest at home." Dusk. When Ethan returned, I was still sitting on the living room sofa. He must have known Melody had been here during the day, so he looked a little nervous. "Did you feel unwell anywhere today?" Ethan asked solicitously. "Just weak, same as usual. Everything else is fine." "That's good. What do you want to eat tonight? How about I cook? It's been a long time since you've had my cooking." Ethan was about to put down his things and go to the kitchen, but I stopped him. "That can wait. I have something to tell you." Ethan's expression changed, but he still sat down beside me. "Go ahead, what is it?" "Melody came to see me today." Ethan's brow furrowed tightly. "What did she say to you?" "She should be due soon. Her belly is already very big." Ethan immediately became tense. "I told her from the beginning to get rid of it. I didn't expect her to lie to me. The other day, she came to me with her big belly and said she wanted to have the child. I didn't agree. I can't believe she came directly to you." Ethan's face was grim. "She had no other choice but to come to me. So what did she say to you? First, tell me what you plan to do about the child in her belly." Ethan said seriously, "If I have a child, it can only be with you. I don't want a child with anyone else." His words filled my heart with a warmth, but also with a sense of helplessness and regret. "But you know I can't, and I don't have time to have a child for you." Ethan fell silent. "What do you want me to do?" After a long pause, he finally spoke. "I want you to raise this child as your own, as if she were our child. Raise her well, watch her grow up." "Impossible," Ethan blurted out. "How can I treat a child with another woman as our own? That's a betrayal. Don't get so emotional. I've thought about it. After I'm gone, having a child by your side would be a good thing. Don't worry, Melody promised me that after the child is born, she will disappear and won't bother you." I patted his back and said gently, "Keep this child with you. Think of it as me being with you. Wouldn't that be nice?" Ethan closed his eyes and pulled me into his arms. "If I could, I would rather never have children as long as I have you by my side." Such a childish thing to say. Chapter 13. In the end, Ethan agreed to let Melody have the child and to raise it himself. Melody was overjoyed when she heard the news. A faint smile appeared on my face as well. That night, I was tormented by pain until dawn. When the sky began to lighten, the pain finally subsided. Normally, I would have fallen into a deep sleep, but for some reason, I wasn't sleepy at all. "You should get some rest." I shook my head and said to Ethan, "I don't want to sleep. Drive me up the mountain. Let's watch the sunrise together, okay?" Watch the sunrise now. You haven't slept all night. I'm worried about your health. It's okay. Trust me, I can handle it. Just come with me. I don't know if I'll have another chance. Ethan reluctantly carried me downstairs and into the car. When we reached the summit, the sun was just rising, painting the morning clouds in a myriad of colors. I leaned against Ethan's shoulder, feeling completely content. I wish we could have more days like this. The fear of death began to creep in. I grabbed his arm and looked up at him. I wish I could do more things with you that we've never done before. Let's make a promise. Ethan took my hand, our fingers intertwined, a closeness we hadn't felt in a long time. What promise? My eyes lit up. When you go back to that world, you have to live a good life. Even though we'll be in different dimensions, you have to remember that I'm thinking of you every second of every day, and I'll know that you're thinking of me too. That way, I think the rest of my life won't be so hard to bear. Ethan looked at me with deep affection. Let's just say we're in a long-distance relationship. I smiled, trying my best not to cry. He didn't know that I was heading towards death, not a new life in another world, and I was glad I hadn't told him. I would rather he believe I was starting a new life in another world than have him accept the fact that I was dying. Okay, I promise, it's your fault. After meeting you, I won't be able to fall for anyone else. I reached up and playfully tapped his nose. It's like they say, once you've seen the ocean, no other water is worth seeing. Isn't it the same for me? After falling in love with you, I don't even look at other women. So, we're each other's downfall, aren't we? Yes. Ethan smiled and rubbed his forehead against mine. Thinking about it that way is nice. In this life, you're the only one I've ever truly loved. I leaned against him, smiling as he whispered sweet words I had never heard before. By the way, can you tell me something? After a moment, he looked into my eyes, and in his eyes I saw a carefully controlled fear and endless sorrow. I think I knew what he was going to ask. Can you tell me how much time you have left? It was that question. I bit my lip, not wanting to answer, even though I counted down the remaining days with him every day. Tell me, I need to be prepared. I couldn't hide it from him. That day would come eventually. I managed to say, exactly 1 month. Ethan nodded. That's longer than I thought. We still have a lot we can do, right? As long as you're with the person you love, even a second can feel like a lifetime. Yes, we'll do many, many more things together. After we got back, Ethan designed a diamond ring and had it made in the shortest possible time. He placed it on my finger. The inside of the ring was engraved with our initials. He said that way, we could be together forever. I treasured that ring. If I could, I would wear it forever. With 15 days left, Ethan and I went to choose my burial plot. Originally, he didn't want to. You're just leaving this world and going back to your own. You're not dying. Why should I bury you? I don't like it. I had to console him. But what about this body? Are you going to have me cremated and keep my ashes at home? Why not? He asked so seriously that I was at a loss for words. I thought about it, and if it were him, I would probably keep his ashes in my room too. He was the person I loved most. What was there to be afraid of? Let's not do that. I don't like it. I smiled and said, let's choose a nice plot. After the cremation, you can bury me there. Then, in 100 years, we can lie together. Wouldn't that be nice? That seemed to convince him, but his expression was already tinged with sorrow. It's so sad to think about. Even if we're buried together, so what? It's just your body. Your soul will be somewhere I can never reach. Maybe when I die in that world, my soul will come back to this one. The universe is full of mysteries. You always know how to make me feel better. Ethan smiled. Are you feeling a little better now? As long as you're by my side, whatever you say makes me happy. In the end, we chose a beautiful burial plot on a hillside covered in wildflowers, always bathed in sunlight. I thought I would be very happy lying there. You can come and visit me when you miss me and tend to my grave. And when you do, remember to bring my favorite flowers. What if I come every day? Will you find me annoying? Probably. I tilted my head and thought for a moment. So, just come a few times a month. Otherwise, I'll find you too noisy. Okay, I promise, 3 times a month. I pretended not to see his red-rimmed eyes and continued. Okay, 3 times a month and don't stay too long. And you're not allowed to go home and cry secretly. Otherwise, I won't let you visit. Okay, I promise I won't cry secretly. Chapter 14 time flew by. No matter how hard Ethan and I tried to cherish the time we had left, the inevitable arrived. The last day. I lay in his arms, using my last ounce of strength to gaze at him. Don't be sad. To be able to leave this world in your arms is the happiest thing for me. Ethan nodded heavily. I know, I'll send you off with a smile. You never liked it when I was sad. I know everything. I nodded, but my heart was filled with even more guilt. I'm sorry. I really wanted to be with you forever, but I can't. In all our years together, I always made you sad. I never gave you many happy days. Ethan shook his head. It's not your fault. I know you were always thinking of me. There will never be anyone else like you in this world. If I had a choice, I wish I didn't have to leave. But life is never a multiple-choice question. My organs felt like they were being crushed. I tried to say more, but when I opened my mouth, blood gushed out uncontrollably. No, Ethan's hands trembled as he frantically tried to stop the bleeding, but it was no use. It's okay. I managed to say a few words, but the bleeding worsened. Don't talk. I know what you want to say. Ethan used his hands to wipe away the warm blood, but it quickly soaked the white sheets. The air was thick with the sweet smell of blood, and my vision was filled with red. So this was what the system meant by a painful death. I kept vomiting blood, as if I were emptying my entire body. Through the haze, I saw his tears fall. He had broken his promise. Finally, the pain in my organs began to subside. In a pool of blood, Ethan held my hands tightly, embracing me. I'm going. You have to be well. I used my last bit of strength to say my final words to him, then my vision went black, and I slowly closed my eyes. I heard his heart-wrenching sobs, but soon they faded away and I could hear nothing. I wanted to tell him not to cry, but I couldn't say another word. I wished I could go back to the past, back to when we were 17, when there was nothing between us but the meeting of two hearts. But that summer was gone forever. Epilogue: Ethan Sterling. After Eleonora died, I often had nightmares. In them, I relived the moment she died in my arms. She kept vomiting blood, staining my vision red. I pleaded with the heavens, with every god I knew, not to keep her with me, but to let her pass away peacefully. She had done nothing wrong in her life. Why did she have to suffer so much? Even her death was not peaceful. But no god heard my pleas. I watched as she coughed up the last of her blood in my arms and then passed away. She was only 27. And that was the end of her life. Every time I woke from these nightmares, I was in agony. At my lowest moments, I would drive to her grave, always bringing a bouquet of her favorite flowers. When she was alive, I had loved her and hated her. But when she was gone, all I had left was an endless longing for her. Eleonora once told me that she was not from this world, that when her life here ended, she would return to her own world. I often imagined what her life was like there now. Maybe she was attending a school she liked, working a job she loved, and had met someone she loved. As I thought about this, a smile would appear on my face. If Eleonora could live a peaceful and happy life, that would be the greatest happiness for me. When she was still with me, she had told me more than once that after she died, I could be sad, but I couldn't drown in my sorrow. I promised her, but I couldn't keep that promise. I felt her presence everywhere I went, but it was only a shadow. I would reach out to grab it, but I would only grasp at air. I felt like I couldn't take it anymore. Most people in this world wish for a long life, but I wished for mine to end sooner. I didn't know if I would be reunited with her after I died. I didn't even dare to hope for that. I just felt that perhaps only death could pull me out of this endless longing. Before she died, I had a pair of rings made for us. When she died, I buried her ring with her. Every time I missed her, I would gently tap her tombstone with my ring, like knocking on a door. I would whisper my endless longing to her or tell her about interesting things that had happened recently. But the latter was rare. After I had said everything, I would get up and say goodbye to my dear wife. I know you don't like me chattering on. It's okay, I'm leaving. I'll see you next time. I would walk slowly out of the cemetery, stopping every now and then to look back at the small tombstone receding in the distance. The tall sycamore trees would shed their leaves in the wind. A gust of wind, and the whole path would be covered in snow. And in the blink of an eye, it would be spring again. I walked this path for 40 years. At the age of 67, I lay in a hospital bed. The sunlight streamed through the window, warming my hand. In my final moments, I saw the 17-year-old Eleonora. She ran towards me, stopped, and held out her hand, smiling. Come on, I'll take you home. I was filled with an indescribable happiness. 40 years. I had been wandering in this world for 40 years, and now I could finally take her hand again. Home was wherever she was. I smiled and took her hand, letting her lead me away. The 17-year-old Ethan and the 17-year-old Eleonora, after crossing the vast expanse of time, were finally together for real. Chapter 15, My name is Eleanor Sterling. My dad told me my mom's name was Eleonora Ainsworth. Shortly after I was born, she passed away from an illness. As long as I can remember, I would always see my dad sitting by the window, a cup of coffee in his hand, looking out at the yard. I didn't know what he was looking at. It was just an ordinary garden. But as I grew older, I realized that while he was looking at the garden, his thoughts were far, far away. I knew he was missing my mom. When I got a little older, he would look at my face and suddenly start to cry. I think it was because I looked so much like my mom. At times like these, I would thoughtfully hand him a tissue and say, "Dad, don't be sad." Mom would be sad too if she saw you crying. Then he would pat my cheek and give me a faint smile. To be honest, I often felt that my dad didn't love me that much. He was probably only raising me because I looked like my mom, but I didn't mind. We weren't close. When I was 17, I went abroad to study against his wishes. I didn't return until I was 27. When I saw him after 10 years, I was shocked. He had aged so much. His hair was completely white. He was 54 then, and other men his age didn't look so old. But for some reason, he seemed to have lost all his spirit. I think it was because he missed my mom too much. When he saw me again, a flicker of surprise crossed his cloudy eyes. "You look so much like her." I had heard that countless times growing up. My dad continued, but when she was 27, she was already painfully thin. He was lost in memories of the past. I wanted to ask more about my mom, but he wouldn't say anything more. He just hunched over and went back to his study. It was filled with all of my mom's belongings. He spent almost every day in there. I was young then and didn't understand how a relationship could make someone reminisce for a lifetime. It was only after I had experienced my own heartbreaks that I understood that it was possible to spend a lifetime missing someone. My dad spent his entire life missing my mom. I stayed in the country after that, and although I didn't live with him, I would visit often. As he got older, his mind began to wander. Sometimes we would be having a meal, and he would mistake me for my mom, urging me to eat more. "You always eat so little. No wonder your stomach hurts. Be good. After dinner, I'll take you to see the sunrise, okay? You can't keep things from me. I'll agree to anything you do, as long as you don't leave me. You promised you wouldn't leave me, didn't you? Why did you go back on your word? No matter where we go, we'll always be together, okay? The flowers in the conservatory are all in bloom. You love those flowers, don't you? When they bloom, I'll take you to see them, okay? You told me not to visit you so often. I really only go 3 times a month now. Are you doing well in that world? Or are you as forgetful as I am?" Whenever my dad said these things, I knew he was seeing my face and reliving the past. The happiest times with his young wife. Sometimes I would play along. "I'll eat more. After dinner, let's go see the sunrise together." "Yes, I told you to visit less. You need to live your own life, take care of yourself and our daughter. Otherwise, how can I rest in peace? Do you remember when we were 17? You were riding your bike and I was on the back. I wish those days could have lasted a little longer." At times like these, my dad would sit before me like a good little boy, nodding at whatever I said. I think if my mom were alive, my dad would have listened to anything she said. He was clearly henpecked. When he was lucid, he would say nothing, just sit in his rocking chair, stroking the wedding ring on his finger. He had worn that ring for nearly 40 years, as long as his longing for my mother. When my dad was 67, he fell on his way to visit my mom. A fall at that age is a serious matter. I rushed to the hospital and consulted with the doctor. The doctor said the prognosis was not good and that I should prepare myself. I knew what he meant. Everyone has to face that day. My dad was going to be with my mom. But when I opened the door to his room and saw him with his eyes closed, my heart still ached. Over the years, although he hadn't been very emotionally close to me, I knew that a person's emotional energy is finite. He had simply devoted all of his to remembering his wife. As his daughter, how could I blame him? He was my dad, after all. How could I forget all the years he had raised me? Seeing him like this now, all I felt was sadness. But my dad was happy. In his final moments, he told me, "I'm leaving all my assets to you. You are my only child. Thank you for being with me for so long. Now I'm going to find her. I tried my best not to cry. I know, Dad, you can go in peace. Go find Mom, now you two can be together forever. My dad spent the first half of his life loving one person with all his might, and the rest of his life missing that person with all his might. Perhaps living had long been a torment for him. If not for his promise to my mom, I think he would have wanted to end his life countless times to be with her. That afternoon, my dad passed away. He was smiling when he left, still whispering my mom's name. Eleonora. Eleonora, over and over, so gentle, each syllable clear. I covered my mouth to keep from sobbing. I had my dad buried with my mom in a cemetery full of flowers. On a sunny day, it's a very pleasant place to be. They couldn't always be together in life, but they could be together forever in death. This was the only thing I could do for them.